Betrayal comes in different forms and from different people. Some have been betrayed by their own families. Some have been betrayed by their own friends. Some have been betrayed by their own colleagues. And some even have been betrayed by the person who stood on the altar and proclaimed with a bold voice and said, "For better or for worse, till death do us apart." But when the worst came, they were nowhere to be found. In this episode, our main topic of discussion says how to deal with betrayal, and as you might not expect as well, how to revenge. Now, for you to find out more, stick around. Greetings and welcome back to the channel, guys. Welcome back. Now, as you've already heard our topic, it says how to deal with revenge, right? And also the best way to revenge. Now, as some of you might hear this, you might think to yourself, okay, the best way to revenge, I want to hear this because people have done me bad. People have done all these kind of things to me. So now I want to know what is the best way for me to revenge. Now, if you want to find out more, guys, we are going to discuss that as we go on with our message for today. But for now, guys, let us take our Bibles and go to the book of 1 Chronicles chapter 19, verse 4. And it reads as follows. Wherefore Hanan took David's servants and shaved them and cut off their garments in the midst hard by their buttocks and sent them away. Now, before we get to this point where we're now talking about people that were getting haircuts and people that were actually getting free fashion designs for their garments, right? Let us just take it a bit backwards, right? And try to understand how did we get to this point, right? Now, if we go back, guys, to the previous episode where we talked about change your mindset, and we also talked about start acting as if the things that you've already prayed for, you have received them. Now, if you have not watched that episode, here is a preview of that episode. You need to change from that scarcity mindset to an abundance mindset. How therefore can you even perceive yourself to be this famous and great person if you are constantly thinking from a lack point of when you pray? Believe that you have received these things. For God says, for as high as the heavens are above the earth, so are my ways above your ways. Now, if you have not watched that episode, make sure you go back and watch it, guys, so that you can be able to understand the message for today. But for today, guys, now let us take it to verse 2 of chapter 19, right? Let us read verse 2 and read what it says. And David said, I will shew kindness unto Hanan the son of Nahash, because his father shewed kindness to me. And David sent messengers to comfort him concerning his father. So the servants of David came into the land of the children of Ammon to Hanan to comfort him. Now, as we just read, guys, now we come to a point where David then says, okay, because I had a good working relationship with Nahash, who was the king of the Ammon, right? He says that because I had a good working relationship with him, I am going to send my comforters to his son so that they can comfort him concerning the death of his own father, right? So David then decides to do this thing, and then he sends his comforters towards Hanan, right? And as they come to Hanan, now the Bible then records that as you go further, now Hanan then decides to say, you know what, no, I am not going to do this thing, right? Rather, he then decides that, you know what, I am going to take this act of kindness as weakness, right? He decides that no, I am going to take this act of kindness as weakness. And as we read in verse 4 at the beginning of the episode, where we say that then Hanan took all the comforters that David had sent towards him, and he decides that, you know what, I am going to shave their heads and I'm going to cut their garments and all of that. Instead, this was showing now that he was taking the kindness that David had showed him. He decided that, you know what, this kindness, I am going to take it as weakness. Now I have a question for you. How many of you have done something for someone only for it to be taken as weakness? What is it that you have done for other people, but for them, they took it as an act of weakness? What is it that you have done for other people, but then instead of them showing the appreciation of whatever it is that you had done, they took it for weakness? Now, some decided to help others to become financially stable. But then this thing that they had done, this act of kindness that they decided to do, it was then taken as an act of weakness. Some decided that they were going to help someone out to become financially independent, but then instead, this thing was then taken against them, and it was taken to be a form of weakness. And in the end, they started to get exploited for the funds that they were offering the other person. And I want to ask you today, have you found yourself in that situation, or even something else as well has happened to you? Some have helped other people to get employed in the companies that they were working at. But the moment those people got employed there, they are the ones that started talking bad about you, which then resulted to you losing your job. Some have helped a brother or even a sister out to get a job, right, in the same company that they were working at. And the moment that person got the job, they are the ones that then talked bad about them and ended up leading to them losing their jobs, right, which then results in it being betrayal, because their act of kindness was then taken as weakness. And I still want to ask you a question again. What act of kindness have you done to other people, but in return it was shown as an act of weakness? Some have introduced their fiance to their friend, but in return, their friend is the one that ended up dating their fiance, which then left them with a broken heart and left them wondering where they went wrong. And knowing this, now they feel like they were betrayed, and they now realize that their act of kindness was taken for weakness. Some thought they were creating a good relationship with their friends by introducing their partners to them, right? But in return, the friend ended up being the one that was now dating their partners, right? And I want to ask you today again, what act of kindness have you done for other people, but in return, they are the ones that took it and now took it as weakness? And this is the same thing that happened to David here, guys. As we look at this instant that we just read in the Bible says that David decided that let me show an act of kindness towards Hanan because of his father Nahash. And it comes to this point where now Hanan then decided that no, I am not going to do that, but rather this act of kindness that David is showing me, I am going to take it as an act of weakness. And then he decided to say, you know what, I am going to take his comforters and shave them and cut their garments and all of that. And this is the same situation that you find yourself in today. And someone has been betrayed. I don't know what situation you have been put in, right? I don't know how far you have been betrayed by the people that you trusted the most, right? But I want to tell you, this was the same thing that happened to David. And it comes to this point, right? And you might be feeling to yourself, I am going to show them. I have so much anger inside me. I have so much violence. I want to show them how it is I am going to deal with them. They cannot do this thing to me. They cannot betray me in this way. And this is the same thing that happened to David, guys. He showed an act of kindness towards someone who had lost his father, but in return, his act of kindness was taken for weakness. But before we go to how you should deal with betrayal, let us just take it to verse 3 and read what verse 3 says. But the princes of the children of Ammon said to Hanan, thinkest thou that David doth honor thy father, that he hath sent comforters unto thee? Are not his servants come unto thee for to search and to overthrow and to spy out the land? Now, a point that I just want us to catch in verse number 3, guys. Be careful of the people that you have in your circle. Be careful of the people that are giving you advice. Some of them are wolves in sheep's clothing, and some of them, they're giving you such bad advice because they want to see you destroyed. Some of them even give you bad advice because they want to take your position. You might go to your friend to ask for relationship advice, but your friend tells you such bad advice because they are the ones that want your partner. You might, I don't know what it is that you are facing today. I don't know what bad advice you've gotten, but I want to tell you today that remember, it's the same thing that happened to Hannah. It says that, and our point that we're getting from verse 3 is that be careful of the people that give you advice. Be careful as well of the people that are close to you and the people that give you advice about how you should operate your things, how you should operate in your businesses. For some of them are wolves in sheep's clothing, and they're giving you advice that will cause you to be destroyed. Now, if you're listening to this message via YouTube and not the podcast, Just keep in mind that we are now available on Anchor, Spotify, Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, Overcast, as well as on Amazon Music. And you can be sure to follow us on any of those 6 different platforms. Now we come to the part that some of us have been waiting for, to try and understand, how do I deal with betrayal? How am I going to get rid of this lump that is in my heart, this betrayal, this anger that I have inside me, right? How do I deal with this betrayal? Do I go to them? Do I face them? Do I fight them? Do I shout at them? What is it that I do? Because now I have this thing inside of me, right? And I'm raging and I'm fuming and I have all this kind of different emotions within me. And I want to understand, how do I deal with betrayal? Now let us go to verse 13 and read what it says. Be of good courage, and let us behave ourselves valiantly for our people and for the cities of our God. And let the Lord do that which is good in his sight. Now, as we just read in the Bible then tells us that be of good courage and let us behave ourselves valiantly, right? And that is the point I just want us to focus on. Be of good courage and let us behave ourselves, right? So do not go out there and start confronting the people. Do not go out there and start telling the whole world what it is that this person did unto you, right? Do not go unto the world and start telling everyone and start saying, this person did this to me, this person, how could they? And you post it all over social media and you try to make them look bad and you try to do all this kind of things. No, guys, you shouldn't be doing that. But rather, it says that be of good courage. Don't lose courage, but rather be of good courage and let us behave ourselves, right? So in the process of behaving yourself, remain silent, right? Remain silent. Don't be quick to say this person did this. For remember, God is the one that sees everything that is going on, right? So God, in looking, he sees what it is that has been done unto you, right? So it is not for you to try and go outside and say, you know what, I am going to show them, I'm going to find revenge in my own way. For God says revenge is for the Lord, right? And even if we look at this instant and we look at Hanan and the Ammonites, right? And we look at this point, it was not David who went to them, right? That is a point again, like, guys, that I just want us to keep in mind. It was not David who went to them, but rather it was them that came to David, because now David was silent. He didn't start acting and start forming unto war and say, you know what, because they did this unto my comforters, I am going to show them what it is that I'm made of, right? I'm going to show them how powerful Israel is. No, he didn't do that, but rather David remained silent. And in them, they thought to themselves, no. Now we've put ourselves in array with David and his armies. Rather, let us just go and attack them, right? Because now they were thinking to themselves, why is he not acting? And there is power in silence, guys. When people do you wrong, don't be quick to post. Don't be quick to tell the world how badly they have done unto you. But rather, remain silent. Behave yourself. Do not lose courage. Do not be a person that then loses courage and then you start losing courage and you start moving with a sad countenance. No, guys, you shouldn't be doing that. So just keep those things in mind. Be of good courage. Do not be quick to post it. Do not be quick to tell the world. Do not even try to say, I am going to revenge. I'm going to show them how best I can revenge. For God says, revenge is for me. It is not for you to decide and say, you know what, they betrayed me, so I'm going to revenge. No, guys, do not be quick to do that. Now, if you're new to the channel or perhaps a returning viewer, make sure you subscribe and hit that notification bell so that you do not miss when a new video pops up. In conclusion, now we are going to take our Bibles to Genesis chapter 50 verse 20, where after Joseph had been betrayed by his brothers, after Joseph had been put into a foreign land, and now his brothers have come to Egypt to look for food, and they meet him, and now Joseph reveals himself to them and shows them who he is, and they become afraid and they think that Joseph is going to kill them. And in verse 20, the Bible then says, "But as for you, ye thought evil against me, but God meant it unto good, to bring to pass, as it is this day, to save much people alive." There is a reason why those people have betrayed you, right? There is a reason and there is a purpose why that has happened to you, right? You might not understand it now, and you might be fuming, you might be angry, and justly so, you are allowed to feel that way because you have been betrayed, right? But keep in mind, guys, always have the bigger picture in mind, and always think, what has caused this to happen, right? What really happened? What was the cause of all of this? What is the purpose of all of this? And Joseph, in this instant, he says that you guys, when you betrayed me, you meant it for bad. You guys wanted to kill me. You guys wanted to destroy me. But God, in his infinite wisdom, he meant it for good, so that I may save much people alive. So go back to God and ask him, what is the purpose of this betrayal? For nothing just happens for no reason, guys. Nothing like that just happens. And this is the same instant that we find in Joseph, where he then says, you guys meant it for evil, but God meant it for good, which then shows that there is a purpose for everything that is happening in your life. And the main thing that you should be doing, you might not understand it right now, but it is for you to go back to God and ask him, what is the purpose of this thing? And if you take our Bibles to Ecclesiastes chapter 3 verse 1, the Bible then says,
to everything there is a season and a time to every purpose under the heaven.
So ask God why this thing has happened to you, right? Ask God why these people have betrayed you. Ask God what is the purpose of this betrayal, and God will reveal what it is that God is trying to achieve with you in your life. And then soon you will realize Romans 8 verse 28, which then says that,
and we know that all things work together for good to them that love God, to them who are called according to his purpose.
You might not understand the purpose of this betrayal, but Romans 8 verse 28 then says that for all things work together for the good for all of them that love God. I don't know what betrayal you have been betrayed with, right? I don't know to what extent, I don't know what pain you are feeling right now. I don't know how badly it has affected you in your life. I don't know how badly it has affected you in your social life, at work, wherever it might be. I don't know how badly it has affected you, but I want you to know that the Bible says for all things, guys, all things, not some things, not a few things, not minor things, not big things. No, it says for all things work together for the good of those who love the Lord. So this betrayal right now might be hurting, might be all of this kind of pains, might be bringing all these kind of pains to you. But I want you to know that all things work together for the good of those who love the Lord and those that are called according to his purpose. And this is the message I just want to leave with you today, that whatever betrayal you have faced in your life, whatever things that other people have betrayed you with, I want you to keep in mind that all things work together and there is a purpose for everything. Go back to God, right? Go back to God and ask him, God, why has this happened to me? What is the purpose of these things happening to me? And God is going to reveal to you what is the purpose of that. And then Joseph in the end says that you guys meant it for bad, but God meant it for good, that I might save lives. So go back to God and ask him what the purpose of that betrayal is. And remember, guys, you don't have to post it, you don't have to tell the world how badly they've done you, but remember, remain silent, right? Remain silent and go back to God and pray and lean on the Lord, right? And tell him your problems, tell him how badly you feel hurt, tell him how painful it is in your heart, tell him exactly how you feel, and God will reveal to you what it is that you must know. God